Welcome to Say It Sister. We are Karen and Lucy, and we gather every week to bring you half an hour of a conversation about topics that we really love and we really care about, things that we're thinking about, things that we're sharing in between us. And this week we're going to talk about Lucy's trip to Hay on Wye Festival, where she heard some amazing authors speak, but in particular the brilliant Cally Beaton, who did a complete life pivot age 50. I also attended a 7 a.m. coffee rave, which was the most incredible experience. And just to look around the room and see the joy on women's faces was, I mean, I can still see it now. I can feel it now. Just so transformative. And sometimes we just need to be in the room with each other, have some music on and dance it out. I'm certainly in a surge of energy to get shit done without apology right now. And it's got me thinking about the trends, the pivots, the change, and the courage that we need to keep shifting, to keep moving through the challenges. And actually, as women, we share this, we have this in common. So Lucy, tell us more.
It was my second year for going to Hay, and last year I went on my own and saw some amazing speakers. And so this year I was like, that's it, I'm going. And I could only manage one full day, unfortunately. It's like a 10-day festival. But on the day that I was there, Malala was first, and that's just somebody who I always wanted to see here, in the flesh. Then Matt Haig, who is one of my favourite authors. He's gets you thinking. But also it's a really easy read. And then Cally Beaton. Now, Cally, I just saw her name pop up. I was like, yes, because I've been following her on Instagram for ages, and I didn't really know her backstory. I just knew that she was a proper feminist, and I was like, yes. But actually, she was phenomenal, and I took my 22-year-old who had no idea who she was, and she came away and she said, of all the speakers, she was the best. She's inspired me, she's lifted me. And although she was talking to basically a room full of peri or post-menopausal women, she even inspired the 22-year-old whose life is just getting going. So I've got a copy of her book here. It is called Namaste, Motherfucker. So that we've all made a pledge that whenever we see the book in the bookshop, we're going to put it in the bookshop window, just because it's highly inappropriate, and that's the kind of thing that we do when we're in our midlife. We don't care anymore. So I'll talk a little bit more in a moment about why she inspired me, but she really said something that got me thinking, because I'd seen, obviously you'd been to your rave, we've done a couple of episodes now about different life stages, and she basically just said, that there is a whole generation of Gen X women who are saying no more to keeping it small, staying silent, putting everybody else's needs. And it's almost like no other generation en masse has ever done this before. And they're turning round in that midlife and just saying, no, I'm doing the things I've always dreamed of doing. And it doesn't mean a life pivot. Sometimes it's taking up that hobby, or it's just saying no to being the bloody servant at home.
Yeah.
And it was just really, really inspiring. But it also got me thinking about you hitting that midlife stage. And then also over the weekend, I watched the Kylie documentary and saw just how many lifetimes she's lived. And then there's Madonna on stage with Sabrina Carpenter. And one of my dear favourite authors, Edith Eger, passed just a couple of weeks ago. And she is another woman who is phenomenal. Her books are amazing. Go get The Choice. But she passed, but she completely changed her life in her 40s, re-educated and became a world renowned therapist, and then went on to be an author in her 70s. And it's just
Yes.
like, we are really just getting started. So over to you. Go on. Does any of that resonate with you? Because I
Oh,
know there's a lot going on for you right now.
yeah, it all resonates, every single word you've said, so thank you. And it's really great to hear about someone becoming an author in their 70s because, like I've got this book and I keep, like I go back to it every now and then and it's still not, out in the public domain. And then I just think maybe it's just not the right time or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. Like the idea of becoming an author in your 70s is just awesome. And it gives me permission to just take some space, take some breath, do other things, come back to it. It's like, who says it has to happen now? I don't, and I think we get into that sense of urgency. If it's not happening now, it's never going to happen. And that's just stuff to keep us like on the hamster wheel. And I think as we're waking up and we're sort of looking at life and we're looking at the systems and patriarchy, we're like not playing those rules anymore. And I definitely concur with that. Some things I am noticing in myself is that I've always been the harmoniser. I am a grounded, balanced type person, but I can get off balance quite quickly and then come back again. But I have noticed that pressure to know what people are sensing, know how people are feeling, and then to sort of intercede and make things okay actually is one of the biggest. It's a gift. It's also a curse. And I'm realising that I interfere in stuff and I just need to step back.
Butt out, Karen.
And just be like, actually, no, let them work it out themselves, let them work through it. Like, why am I holding so much in the dynamics? And I think dynamics are the thing that really exhaust me because I can see stuff before it's going to happen. So I'm trying to get in there to sort of make everything smooth and the harmonizing piece. And I feel like women have been told they need to harmonize. And it's one of those things again. And it's like, actually, we also need to challenge. And I think that's what we're doing in this phase. We're saying, no, I'm challenging that, I'm challenging that, I'm challenging that. We're being difficult. We're saying no, we're standing up. We're saying we can see what's happening. We can see the patterns and we are not continuing in this way. And so I'm seeing that and I've got a lot of work to do personally.
That's really fascinating. I think I can only speak of my own experience because my whole family dynamics were harmony. I don't ever remember shout out loud stand up arguments, but I had an older brother, and me and him, we would have arguments, and often my mum would just let us carry on. I do remember her chasing us up the road with a broom once because I think we got out of hand, and she'd obviously just snapped. But by and large, I think I learned how to resolve stuff with me and my brother because
Yeah.
actually we would have a proper ding dong and then 5 minutes later we were playing, and I see that with my own daughters and I purposely don't intervene. But I do remember with my ex-husband when I went to his house like very on early when we were dating excuse me, um
And that's the
his
impact of
family.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Still
But
there in your
the
throat.
yeah, he was like, yeah. Yeah, anyway, his family were the explosive, almost like Italian, like, get it all out there. And I remember feeling so unsettled because just wasn't used to it. And I actually, rather than harmonizing, I actually just ran away.
Yeah.
I went and like hid myself in the bedroom. So I can't deal with this. So I do think there's absolutely some truth there that either we try and smooth it over because it's so uncomfortable,
Yeah.
um, or yeah, we just harmonize, run away, harmonize, fight, flight, freeze, isn't it? All that stuff.
Yeah.
So good for you,
Yeah.
for stepping into that.
There's definitely something else that I'm also noticing, and it's this like a not apologizing for my own joy or my own happiness. Because for me, it feels like it's a general feeling of happiness that sort of starts to bubble, and it's like a bubble that comes up, a little bit like a strong emotion, like can kind of come up, and you feel something come in, and you go ooh, and then there's the courage to sort of like allow that to sort of get bigger and bigger and
Or
bigger.
is that what Brene Brown calls joy foreboding?
Yes, and she's been talking about it too. So I saw her pop up on my socials and I really recognize it because I feel like there is this pattern in myself and in other women. And I see it in the coach and the like, but I shouldn't feel sad and I shouldn't feel happy. I shouldn't, like it's almost like they have to be like in the middle somewhere and they're not really allowed to have these strong emotions because they get guilty. And they're like, I've got nothing to complain about. I'm so much further ahead than, people in my family or people back home or whatever it might be. And I've come so far. And there's this like, I've got nothing, I don't deserve to be happy, joyous. I also don't deserve to be,
Wow, where the hell does that come from?
sad.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And it's this middle road thing again that sort of
Mm.
sits somewhere in the middle where it's like flatlining. It's much more in the male domain, I would say. Whereas I think women are much more like, I'm not saying that men don't have this because they do, but that it's been so programmed out of them. Whereas as women, because we have our cycles and our energy and our emotions are shifting all the time, it's like we actually do have the extremes, and if we don't allow ourselves to go into either of the extremes, like if I don't allow myself to feel deeply sad, hopeless and grief, which I do allow, then I'm not going to be able to hit those high notes, and I'm not going to be able to have the like the love and the joy fully. So I'm going to be living somewhere in the middle, which is flatline. It's like mundane, and it's the groundhog day, and there's no like highs and there's no lows. And I think this is really, really unhealthy for us. And I see it in my coaching, and I see it when I'm working with women and the things that they say. And I'm like, this is an emotion and it's got a message. What is the emotion trying to tell you? Just like
Do you
feel it.
think there's something there about, the playing it safe? Because uh, I certainly got these messages that any woman who was a bit wild or a bit too emotional was, yeah, overly emotional. She was a little bit mad, a bit hysterical, crazy old lady. Do you think
Lunatic.
it's part of that, that actually we
Yeah.
have to try and stay composed because we can't be too frivolous, we can't be too emotional, we can't be too weird. We've got to stay compliant.
I think so, and I think women got locked up. So like women
Yeah,
did get
absolutely. Not so
taken.
long
We
back.
know you had someone in your family, that did
Mm.
get locked up, and they never came out. So 100%, this is like really, really old programming, and we have to sort of like look at it and say, actually, this is insane. First and foremost, what happened to women is so incredibly wrong, and there should be like something bigger to recognize what's happened for women. I think us talking about on a podcast is one thing, and that's important, but actually this was a societal thing and it was a cultural thing, and now we're saying no to that, and we are allowing ourselves to feel our emotions, and it does go back to the witch trials as well. Like if you can trace all of this stuff back, as soon as a woman gets in contact with her feelings, her no, then all of a sudden there's a revolt that can happen. And we are saying that it's time to sort of, to step into that power that we have and that autonomy and that agency. I feel like there's just something that's a programming, and I think I've reached a place where I'm done with it, and I'm going to have to keep an eye on it because it's been there a long time. But I just want to have my emotions fully. I want to have my life fully. And I've just decided that I am not going to let anything take away my sense of inner peace and my happiness. And if that goes into joy, even bigger expression, brilliant. But I want to feel happy in my everyday life. And if I'm doing something, I want to enjoy it. And what's so radical about that, And Brené Brown does agree. She says that joy is one of the hardest emotions to cultivate, because if we go from joy, the fall from joy, I don't think she says it in this way, but this is how I see it. The fall back down to despair is so great that it's actually really difficult. So we're in a high state of joy and then we go straight into despair. Like we don't know where we are. But I've actually lived like that quite successfully. So
And I actually don't think I go from joy to despair. I don't think it's a pendulum swing like that. I think I could go from joy to just normal, just
yeah,
content, just like it doesn't have to be like that swing. I think maybe if you've got a certain personality or like disposition for it, yes, it can be. But I have no mania in me in that sense. So yeah, I can feel really sad, but then flatline again, and then or
yeah,
baseline, should I say, and then I can be really happy. Um, yeah, so it's interesting. I have to just tell you a conversation that I had with my mum just literally half an hour ago, and we're going to a wedding in a couple of weeks, and one of the hens went over somewhere abroad for a weekend, and obviously posted all of the pictures. And my mum said, "Oh, they were acting like they were teenagers, but they're well into their 40s now." I was like, "What on earth were they doing?" And she says, "Well, they were lining up shots and they were like on this bucking bronco." And I just looked at her, I was like, to be honest, Mum, that's what me and my friends are like when we go out. And so it's this conditioning that actually that's okay for you when you're a child, but now you're a woman, you mustn't behave too extreme or too loud or have too much fun. And I think again, I've always been like, what the hell? But
yeah.
now I'm like challenging it. I'm saying, why? Why shouldn't women in their 40s and 50s go out with their girly friends and have the best time? There's no shame in it. They're not doing anything naughty or bad or going to get themselves arrested. So there's definitely a generational thing that maybe we are becoming more aware of, which is why Cally Beaton was saying, there's something about the women of our generation where we're saying, no,
Yeah.
we're
And we're,
entitled to this. We can
I
be
think we're
this, we can do
seeking
that.
it. I think we're actually
Yes.
we're cultivating it, but we're also seeking it out all of a sudden. And I think that's really, really important to sort of notice and mention and say, like it's important that we can feel all our feelings. And I think there is the fear. I think it's a saboteur-based fear that says if you go too high up or if you're too happy, you could lose everything. So I think that fear is very saboteur programmed. However, it's not true. And actually, if we allow ourselves to feel and if we allow ourselves to open and to go for the things that we want and then allow ourselves, like it's like allow ourselves to feel it and feel the act of courage and the sheer like devotion to ourselves and to our own feelings. Oh my God, we build something. And I've been doing this, for this year really has been about this for me, but it's definitely getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and it feels more natural now, to be in a state of happiness and to be like looking for like glimmers and magical moments, and like it's become part of my life, it's become part of my day, and I have no apology for that, and I'm wanting more and I'm seeking more, and it does come in small things sometimes as well, like it's just a feeling of like coming back in and being like, oh my God, I'm really enjoying myself, like this is so much fun. And it doesn't have to be like whooping fun. It's just more of a like being present in myself and allowing myself to have experiences and not feeling any guilt or shame around it. Like that stuff, I'm not saying it's fully gone, but I'm definitely getting to the point where I'm like skipping. I feel like I'm skipping out the door. Whereas before I'd be sort of like slinking out of the door. And then I'd be sort of thinking about what was going on when I wasn't there. Like, is everybody okay? And that is definitely like I feel like the door is not fully closed, but it's closing because it's not my responsibility. I'm there. It's just not my responsibility. And actually, I'm not needed in the same way that I was needed, before. I'm needed much less. And it's better when I'm out of the house. And it's better when I'm like doing things for me and I come back. Everybody's happier. So this is all like,
I think just to reflect back a little bit, I think there's something for you with having a young child where you've been stuck in that for the last 6, 7, 8 years.
yeah,
Whereas I think a lot of women who are in their 40s and 50s actually have either no children or older children have already left. And so I think maybe what we're seeing is you're now reclaiming it and saying, actually, I don't need, my child doesn't need me constantly. Whereas for me, actually, it's probably about 10, 15 years ago since they needed me that much. And then I've got other friends who are 5, 6, 7 years older than me whose kids already left. And I think it's at that stage something really shifts. It's like, actually, if I'm not tied to the home to be that carer of everybody, what's possible for me? And I think that's something that I'm seeing so much more now, that actually if I want to go on holiday, I'll just go on holiday. Or if I want to join that class, I'll do it. If I want to write a freaking book, I'll do it. If I want to start a podcast, I'll do it. And I think that's the energy that I'm seeing loads at the moment. And with Callie's story, she was actually one of them, vice president of a major TV network. I mean, she was at the top of her career and usually, well, pretty much always the only woman in there. And she reflects back on her life about how she had to man up to be taken seriously, but equally how at around the age of 50, as her kids were in their later teen years, she was like, do you know what, I'm going to have a go at stand-up comedy. I mean, that's a big risk, isn't it?
wow,
But she was
yeah,
like, but what's the worst that can happen? I'm rubbish. And it's that kind of attitude. And what I'm hearing is like, what's the worst that can happen? Is that mindset that you can now shut the door on your family. What's the worst that can happen? They can have an argument. Well, they can sort it out themselves. What's the worst that can happen? That I can go to a little small club and do a few jokes to a really small room. For me, what's the worst that can happen? I start doing Instagram lives and I start talking and somebody doesn't like it. So what? I don't know them. And
yeah.
this bits of confidence that I see that's coming through women of a certain age. And I'm just really excited to explore what is it about this age? What is it about women in this midlife that is just saying basically, fuck it.
And it's going from what if to so what? Like,
Oh, yes, I
so
like that.
what if that happens? So what? It doesn't matter, does it, in the grand scheme of it? And I think the things that we fear happening, Sometimes those things do come true and they do happen. And you know what? We
So what?
grow. We grow, we
Yeah.
evolve, we try something different. Like we're all still here telling stories and we're all still like we've all still got such rich and deep lives and we've all done so much by this point and experienced so much and we've got so many similarities. Like it doesn't matter. I just think living life to the best that we can possibly make it every single day. For me, that is the act of grace that we can give ourselves. And so what if it doesn't go to plan? And actually, isn't always that. Generally, that is part of the journey anyway.
And the gifts come then because when you do reach whatever that success moment looks like for you, it's even sweeter because it
Yeah.
hasn't been easy and it hasn't been linear. You've had some twists and turns along the way, so you savor it even more. So yeah, we actually want it to be a bit of a journey. Um, so where have you seen this kind of reinvention, not just in yourself but in others? Where else are you noticing it?
It's a good question. I feel like it often starts with a seed of discontent. So that feeling of discontent is the sort of, it's actually a gift to us. When we start to get like, it's not really it, is it? Like there's got to be more. So that's what I see. And when that seed starts to like grow, we can either go, I am so disillusioned. I think the workplace is having a major overhaul right now. The way that, women want to do their work, um, the way they want to plug themselves back in, the way they want to feel happy and valued at the same time. Like it's a two-way street. I think we've got huge shifts coming, and I feel like we're on the sort of like we're on a bit of a high, sort of like the waves are coming, and it's a lot at the moment. But I do trust that we'll be able to pave, new ways that are going to feel much better for everybody. So I think that's where I'm seeing the changes the most is in the workplace, and that like disillusion, waking up, um, seeking clarity, and thinking, like how can I do this on my own terms? That's the movement that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think on my own terms is definitely a theme that I see coming up. And one of my oldest friends, she gave up a lot to raise her two children. Um, she had been looking at the management track in her career and then ended up becoming a single mum um, when her youngest was just two. And so she ended up having to actually work just days and she ended up being a barmaid. She then became a cleaner, um, just to be able to pay the bills, but also, be there for the drop-offs and pickups and stuff. And actually, last year she decided, actually, why am I working for somebody else? Why don't I set up my own cleaning business? Now, within a year, she employs six different individuals. She's never earned so much money. She can work less,
Yeah.
and do more of the back to the management stuff that she always wanted. And I'm just like, why didn't you do this years ago? And she said, I didn't think I was allowed or I didn't back myself. And now I'm like, why not? So
Yeah.
what? Those kind of words. So there's definitely something that happens where we just either have that seed of discontent or this nagging that, or it's almost like time's running out. If not now, when? And
Yeah.
I definitely have that feeling when I'm thinking, okay, 50 next year for me. I'm at proper midlife point. How do I want this next 10, 20, hopefully 30 years when I'm going to be still active and compass mentors? How do I want it to be? And actually, I've realised there is so much I haven't done. Even like my friend had been to Istanbul and it was also on Race Across the World. And I just like, I've always wanted to go to Istanbul. And now I'm just like, what's stopping me? So
Yeah.
that's it. I'm just like, that's part of that reinvention. Actually, there is nothing stopping me other than me.
And it is that dreaming piece, isn't it, that we've been talking so much about? Like I know that there was this picture, I keep talking about it, but it has driven me this year in a really great way of this woman at a table with a big dress on, eating pasta. And it was like really indulgent, this picture. And I looked at this woman and I thought, I want to be her. I want to be sat at that table. It was definitely Italy. The whole thing, it was the whole vibe of it. And I was like, I bet she's got servants, like waiters running around after her and like looking after her every single whim at this table. And it was just this moment of pure joy. She's not worrying about what she's eating. She's just in the moment, hungry for the pasta. And then I looked at it and I thought, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And oh my God, have I done that already this year? I have. I've done it in my own home, in my pajamas, eating this pasta and feeling like a queen. And it was like, if I can do that at home, I can do that anywhere. And we are flying to Palma on Monday. 3 days, myself and my husband, no kids, no dog, and I'm gonna eat pasta. I'm gonna eat as much pasta as I can possibly eat,
Good.
and I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yes.
And it's like we couldn't do Italy because we didn't have enough time to do Italy, but I'm doing Parma instead, and it's like it doesn't matter. This is about I have a vision for myself. It's the feeling of the vision, and I'm going for that feeling, and I will take every opportunity to feel it because if we can feel it in like everyday moments, it starts to become more of a normal pattern and our systems reshape. And we can reshape ourselves quite quickly as long as we can be determined enough to hold ourselves, to hold the practices that work for us and to keep doing it and be solid with ourselves and show up for ourselves every day. If we do that, we will reshift ourselves and we will create a new pattern, and that new pattern will be the norm. But we have to keep doing it, and we have to do it every single day. And that's the thing.
I bought my youngest a picture just with some. I got them all ones with funny quotes on for Christmas this year, and one of them was "Just buy the damn shoes." And it's that kind of philosophy that I've always had that philosophy myself, but haven't always lived it fully. But with her, she absolutely loves her canvas pumps, and she's got one in like 4 or 5 different colours. So that's why I bought it. But actually, I said to her, if they give you joy, buy them. You earn your money while you've got it. Just enjoy. And I think that's the lesson that I'm taking into the next decade and beyond for me. Inspired by you, inspired by Cally Beaton, that just buy the damn shoes.
Yeah, and how can you apply that? Like my question to you is, like, you've got another sort of year before you get to this turning point. So you've got a whole cultivation year. So you can start now. You can start in this moment. Like, what is the thing that you're going to say, right, that's my action. This is my thing.
Oh, well, already, I even sent you a little screenshot. I'm going to spend the summer reading. That is my thing because at the moment I do lots of audiobooks when I do my dog walk or when I'm in the car. But when I'm at home, I don't because I'm always thinking, there's this job, there's that job, I should do this, I should do that. But actually, over the last week, I've started untraining myself, and I choose to sit outside or on my sofa, wherever, and just read and travel in my mind and plan and get inspired because for me that is an act of revolution because I used to do it all the time
Yeah.
until I had children, and then I had to, it was like my luxury, and actually now I just want it to be my way of life. So that's one of the first acts. It's almost like I put the key in the door and bit by bit I'm going to unturn it, and then the next thing will be me planning 3 weeks in Italy or in Turkey or wherever I want to go with a load of books, sitting wherever, doing an adventure because this is like the stepping stone. So I'm already dreaming up lots and it's really exciting. But you've got to go pack for Palmer. So I'm going to ask you, why don't you wrap up this conversation?
Oh, it's such a nice conversation, and I never want to wrap up. I just want to keep talking and talking until I send myself to sleep. But that's not a choice today. So yeah, I just really want to say, wherever you are in your life, whatever you're struggling with, whatever dream you have, give yourself some moments just to cultivate. Find the things that take you closer to it, whether it's a book about a certain place or whether it's a certain type of food. Just indulge yourself and allow those feelings to cultivate, and know that you are worthy. You can create whatever you want to create in your life, and that you hold, like you said, the key. So get that key, stick it in the dream, and unlock that door, and keep going until you find yourself in Istanbul or Italy or Parma or wherever your heart's desires. And never ever give up on yourself or your dreams. Until next time, keep saying it, sister.